Hello, tonight we stroll through the sandstone corridors of Agra Fort in 1638, when Mughal Empire palace guards are beginning their nighttime ritual of mostly not glaring into the face of the emperor's displeased pet peacocks. You step into soft leather sandals recently warmed by sunlight of the afternoon. You straighten your turban's golden brocade khalji pin. A peacock feather drifts into your path. Bad fortune, the head eunuch mutters, but great for tickling surprised camels. Come on, you'd last precisely 4 minutes here before asking where the nearest chai stall is. Perhaps, just perhaps, then we can all get along. So, as you get settled in, give the video a like and subscribe, but only if you quite love what I do here. Leave a comment with your local time and city. There is no phrase that captures global sleepover quite like one person yawns in Oslo while another in Mumbai spills masala chai on their keyboard. Now, switch off the lights, maybe leave on a fan for that gentle hum in the background, and let us get settled in for tonight's ride together. The first law of Mughal Night Guard Club? Never outshine the moon. You're given a lantern whose perforated copper top glows not brighter than a drowsy firefly. Guards believed bright flames insulted heaven's chandni, inviting insomnia curses. As you stroll along the pillared shade of the Dewanem, your shoulder pushes against one fresco of winged houris, painted, allegedly, to remind guards that paradise awaited. After their 12-hour shift of duty, your main task tonight, walk the 70-foot-high walls without A. falling into the Yamuna River, B. waking Empress Mumtaz's renowned light sleeping parrot, or C. losing the ceremonial mace that weighs more than your life choices. A mainstream fact slips in like a snake in silk socks. Shah Jahan employed over 3,000 guards for the harem apartments alone. But here's the strange part. Speaking louder than a whisper was off limits, so there was a tricky game of charades. Need to report a leaking fountain? Mime a crab. Suspect someone's a spy. Flap your arms like a startled hoopoe. Historians still argue about whether or not this game of pantomiming began other Kathak dance moves later on or just caused everyone permanent shoulder cramps. As the Azana's final echo fades into the Jama Masjid, you hear something strange, guards cleaning chainmail with cloth dipped in rosewater. Not for battle readiness, but because moonlight off oiled metal was rumored to generate a sleep-inducing hum. Lean in closer and, there it is. A gentle metallic shh, a giant whispering through a mouthful of coins. Your lieutenant notices you listening. Keeps jinns away, he growls, pushing a cloth at you. Also keeps rust off. Mostly jinns. The scholarly scandal. Some hold this ritual began when a guard complained Akbar's ghost complained about clanky servants. Others assert it was a cover for stealing the royal rosewater. Your feet have memorized every bumpy stone by the third time around the Pearl Mosque. Guards developed callus so thick, one tail goes, they could extinguish candlewicks barefoot. You're debating with yourself over whether to attempt this when a sharp clink freezes your spine. The noise is repeated, metal against marble. You notice, after the sound, a junior guard tapping his dagger hilt against a pillar in rhythmic groups. Morse code before Morse code. 3. All clear. 5. Suspicious package. 7. Peacock loose, a terrifyingly common warning. But this guard tapping out 12 taps. Slowly. With pauses. It turns out he's just practicing for his second job as a table musician. As the stars wheel overhead, you behold the true greatness of Mughal security. Boredom so profound it's meditation. The guard scrolls feature counting lotus flower petals in the reflective pool, reciting Persian couplets backward, and mentally reconstructing the scaffolding on the Taj Mahal. One memoir confesses, I have named each of the 896 bricks in the east wall. The dozy camel one? I've called mine Baber. You're already in contemplation of naming your own wall spot when a far-off squawk breaks the night. The parrot's awake. On to the next, hopefully the storeroom where guards rested among giant sacks of grain. Rumors had them sharing secrets with the rice, that mice would carry word back to informants. Was it worth it? Let's just assume the Empire's best spies were well fed to the maximum. Moonlight sluices through the fort's jail screens, casting filigree shadows on your chainmail tunic. You've been assigned to the northeast bastion, where the night breeze carries the Yamanos' damp breath and the faint shink-shink of guards polishing armor. Not with harsh abrasives, mind you, with rose-water-soaked lambswool. Because nothing says elite security detail like smelling like your grandmother's perfume cabinet. The lieutenant catches you mid-yawn and tosses you a cloth. Polish or perish, he says, which you later learn is Mughal for rust gets you demoted to latrine duty. Here's your mainstream factoid, served with a side of gilded irony. Mughal chainmail was often made from wood steel, the same Damascus-grade metal used in legendary swords. But tonight, that prized alloy is being buffed to a lullaby sheen. Lean into the ritual, orbital rotations bend to left, then right, like petting an over-metallic cat. Rosewater's floral acidity blends with the metallic tang of iron, an aroma historians have described as reminiscent of the aroma of war and weddings having an awkward cocktail party. Stirring, the moonlight skitters across the rings, casting faint harmonies. Esish, ting, esish, ting. Less like clang of victory, more like wind chimes for insomnia-ridden warlords. Oddball? Guardsmen believe these noises keep the boots at bay, restless spirits that find their way to warmth of the living. Jinns abhor wrought metals, mutters your teammate, polishing a pauldron in the likeness of a snarling demon's face. And the clinking drowns out their whining. You half suspect this is superstition, until a faint clang echoes across the fort. The guardsmen are brought up short. Only this is a monkey knocking over a cookpot. The lieutenant frowns at you. Keep polishing. Slower. The steel dreams better that way. Scholars continue to dispute the origins of this ritual, citing everything from a scroll from 1592 in which Akbar's treasurer complains about the expense of rosewater, the armory drinks more attar than the harem, to folk tales about the bed curtain hung by a guard who cured the emperor's insomnia. Spoiler, the guard got promoted, the emperor slept for 6 hours, and the curtain went on to strangle a would-be assassin. Multi-purpose decor. You're arguing whether steel can truly retain rosewater scent. It can't. When a new recruit whispers the real pro tip, rub the cloth with sandalwood paste first. Makes the rings slide smoother. He demonstrates, his armor now shining like liquid starlight. Also, the scorpions hate it. You look down. A scorpion scuttles away from your foot, tail flicking in disgust. Note to self, Mughal pest control equals accidental aromatherapy. By the second hour, the motion becomes hypnotic. Your mind begins to wander to 17th century French visitor Jean-Baptiste Taverny, who wrote, "These guards shine like walking mirrors, yet never seem to see their own reflections." Poetic, a relief until you find the dark side. The polished pH balance might irritate skin and cause a rash aptly nicknamed the Mughal measles. Court doctors prescribed yogurt masks and moonlight baths. The cure rate. Historians say 50% cure, 50% throw in the towel and hope to look spotty like a partridge. A few seconds clang sends you flying backwards, your helmet has slid down into a bush. Pulling it out, you see something glistening off the ground, a tiny silver bell. Partner nods. For the dromedaries. They roam about in the dark, lost. It turns out that guards fastened bells on the sheep etc., and sometimes on sneak thieves. Step 1. Hide in a camel caravan. Step 2. Sell out the empire. Step 3. Jingle jingle, we know you're there. You pocket the bell as a memento, or a cat toy for later. The Polish debate continues to rage. X-ray fluorescent scans of preserved chainmail reveal trace rose compounds, but also mango pulp and beeswax. Food historians say the guards were snacking while working, leaving sticky fingerprints. Your theory. The whole ritual was a ruse to cover the theft of rosewater for illicit Gulkand desserts. The truth. Lost to time, along with the exact recipe for Emperor Jahangir's sleep-inducing saffron sherbet. Night deepens. You hear the soundscape of the armor change. The newly polished areas thrum at a higher frequency, a sleepy beehive. Your partner insists you can tell time by the harmonics. Midnight rings flat. Third watch sings sharp. You try it. Press a pauldron against your ear. The vibration resonates against your skull, a metallic purr. For a heartbeat, you almost understand why someone might find this soothing. Then a bat poops on your turban. And the final twist. Some guards developed steel ear, a tinnitus-like condition from constant exposure to high-pitched rings. Treatment involved lying in herb-stuffed silk hammocks while musicians played bean, snake charmer flutes to rebalance the humors. Did it work? A 1645 medical text shrugs. 5 patients reported improvement. 7 switched careers. 1 claimed to hear the future. He was promoted to court astrologer. The corridor ahead narrows, its marble walls slick with condensation from the Yamano's midnight breath. You've been reassigned to the hall of private audiences, where the air smells of wet stone and the ghosts of unspoken secrets. Your new task: stand motionless beside a pillar carved with lotus vines while pretending not to hear the tap-tap-tap-a-tap echoing through the walls. Mughal guards called this listening to the stone's gossip, a skill as valuable as sword work. Lean your shoulder against the marble, cold as a courtier's smile, and your ear against the stone. Nothing at first. Then vibration. Moist rhythm. 2 clicking knocks, pause, 3 slow knocks. Your friend transcribes it at once. Pantry raid in quadrant 3. Bring almonds. Here's the mainstream morsel, served cold as the marble. Mughal designers designed palaces with purposeful acoustics. That dome above your head? Its curve repeats whispers, a design meant to dissuade plots. Jokes on them, it also repeated the head cook's snores, which guards described as a tiger strangling on a harmonium. But the strange twist. Guards developed a tap code system through dagger hilts, coins, even toenails. Need to signal intruder. Tap tap pause tap. Tipsy Lord ambles. Tap scritch scritch tap. Historians found a 1615 logbook complaint muttering, "New recruit keeps tapping recipes for kheer. Disciplinary action pending." The ghostly rumor wandering these halls? Akbar's cursed pillar. That one to your left, its base smudged black with guard stains spanning centuries of spills to appease the stone djinn. Folktale says the column absorbed the torture shrieks of an overheard spy in 1572 and now replays them on days when thunder raged. Your friend snorts. "It creaked last monsoon, that's all." Sounded like a goat learning the sitar. Still, guards avoid touching it after dark, except for Ramat, who swears it whispered lottery numbers. He won a chicken, then lost it to a bet over dice. Scholars still bicker. Did architects plan these sonic quirks, or did guards simply exploit happy accidents? Dr. Amrita Desai's 2023 paper argues the niches near ceilings were sound funneling devices. Dr. Rajesh Bhatia responds, they were for brooms. Stop sentimentalizing janitorial closets. In the meanwhile, you get distracted by another sound, a click-click scurrying of a gecko from the pillar. You knock back. Click-click. It responds. It happens to be a gecko chasing moths. Does it every night, stretches your partner. We called him Clerk Mahmood. He's better at paperwork than the actual clerks. The accursed pillar's actual terror? Its draft. A burst of air slashes across a crack in the marble, ruffling your turban's edge. The opening was stuffed with peacock feathers in 1621 by guards, but Akbar's spirit supposedly pulled them out. Or maybe the same monkey who swiped your lunch. You shiver, recalling the earless Abdul tale, a guard who frostbitten his earlobe to the stone during winter watch. His punishment? A splash of hot buffalo milk over it. The milk curdled. The earlobe stayed. Leaning your weight, the tile below groans. Another quirk, pressure-sensitive stones bordering the throne. Lean too hard, a bell tolls in the barracks. You're thinking of putting this to the test when a deafening asterisk tap asterisk resounds along the wall. Code for emergency. Or a clumsy clerk spilling over his inkwell. The guard's solution for false alarms? A 1618 decree stating, "He who taps without cause shall pay 1 month's salary in pistachios." The royal squirrels got very plump. By the third watch, you've mastered marble ear, distinguishing between rat claws, staccato, wind whistles, warble, and actual human tappers, usually off rhythm. The pinnacle of your training? Decoding a message about a missing slipper while a real intruder, a raccoon, waddles past. Your friend hands you a mock medal, a crisp copper coin bitten into a crescent shape by Clark Mahmood. For services to rodent-related panic, he announces. You pocket it, inwardly commenting that Mughal sense of humor has not survived the years. The debate ebbs and flows in the academies, but this is the truth you've learned. These walls hide more than secrets. They're a record of boredom. Thousands of guards, thousands of knights, and nothing left behind but scuff marks and the occasional doodle in charcoal by an unhappy emperor. One line, half erased, reads, "If you can read this, you've been standing still too long." Another, with verse, "My feet are tombs." With the first blush of dawn on the horizon, a final mystery unfolds. A rhythmic thud pulses in the distance from behind the pillar, not taps, but something deeper. Your friend turns pale. That's new. You listen once more, putting your ear to it. Thud, thud, thud. As regular as a heartbeat. Is it the damned spirit? A hidden water pipe? Or merely the distant drum of laborious starting work? The answer dies with the night shift. You'll never know. But hey, it's a good story to scare the next rookie. The heartbeat thud fades as you're summoned to the guard's mess hall, a dim vault lit by a single oil lamp and the glowing red splotches of beetle nuts spit on the floor. It's 2 a.m., the hour when even the emperor's prized parrots slump into surly silence, and your new duty begins, mastering the chew that fuels the empire's night watch. An elderly guard slaps a *pandan* box in front of you, its chambers leaking the sweet sharp aroma of crushed areca nuts, slaked lime, and cather paste. "Welcome to the *pan* shift," he grins, blood-red lips curling. "Chew slow. Spit slower. And for Allah's sake, don't swallow." Mainstream fact time. Beetle nut was the Mughal equivalent of coffee, a stimulant chewed by everyone from emperors to elephant drivers. But here's the twist. Guards followed a strict ritual cadence, 33 chews per minute, timed to the fort's water clock. Too fast, and you'd buzz into a jittery stupor. Too slow, and the nuts-numbing juices would drip down your throat, triggering what one memoir called a gut rebellion of most violent character. Your instructor demonstrates, crunch pause crunch crunch, like a cricket with a vendetta. "Count with your molars," he advises. "Your tongue will deceive you." The quirky horror. The spit. Guards spat into brass cadao spittoons, but midnight fatigue brought creative misses. Annals tell of a fresco of dancing apsaras blemished by a rookie's errant lob. The curators called it abstract art. The guard called it retirement. You try your best, but your first spit goes astray, plopping on a sleeping mouse. It twitches, licks its paw, and ambles off sideways. Your fellow nods. Happens every Thursday. Historians still argue over the ritual's side effects. Dr. Iyer's 2019 study claims guards suffered from rampant tooth decay. Mughal dentistry involved honey and wishful thinking, but Dr. Abbas contends the antibacterial properties of beetle prevented cavities. Although they agree on one thing, the indigestion. Scrolls show guards clutching stomachs during shifts, blaming pan demons for the discomfort. The real culprit. Slaked lime combining with empty stomachs. The solution. A dubious concoction of tamarind pulp and goat milk. Tastes like regret, mutters your instructor, but it'll unknot your guts faster than a eunuch's gossip. You're on your third wad when the cadence's purpose reveals itself. The rhythm syncs with your patrol steps: crunch, left foot, crunch, right, pause, listen for intruders. It's meditative, in a mouth-numbing, spit-filled way. Guards claimed they could decode threats by the sharpness of their chew. A sudden bitter tang meant danger nearby. Or someone used stale cather, your partner admits. You're half drooling when a clang echoes, the water clock's 2:30 a.m. bell. Time to spit. The debate gets spicier than the pan. Archaeologists found latrine pits near Agra fort riddled with undigested beetle husks. Dr. Gupta says this is evidence of widespread bowel disturbance, but Chef Singh insists it's a sign of lots of fiber. They were normal, just violently. Meanwhile, you're dealing with a lime-induced hiccup that sounds like a choking frog. Your partner offers a cure. Hold your breath and recite the first verse of the Quran backwards. It does nothing, but at least the hiccups keep you awake. As the evening drags on, the buzz of the beetle wears off. Your jaw aches. Your spit jar looks like a crime scene. You're fantasizing about quiet, chew-free careers, court florist, tomb dusting, when in comes a rookie, eyes wild. I swallowed some. The room groans. They douse him in salted lassi and make him patrol the latrines, a traditional Mughal hazing. You jot down a note to yourself: swallowing equals sabotage by the royal plumbers. The ritual's legacy. A 1620s trend whereby nobles chewed beetle while fighting sword duels for better concentration. Spoiler alert, it did not go well. One account speaks of a duelist mid-chew, his battle cry muffled by fibrous pulp, his parry slowed by the need to spit. Guards, at least, had the decency to multitask only during peacock alerts. By 4 a.m., you're a beetle zombie, lips numb, teeth striped red, breath smelling like a spice barge wreck. But you're awake. Oh, so awake. The final test. Reciting the guard oath while chewing. You mumble through a mouthful of pulp: I swear to defend the emperor, his heirs, and his hick, peacocks. The instructor claps. Passable. Now go clean the spittoons. As you scrape off fossilized phlegm, you see an inscription under the table: Beware the green nuts. Abdul, 1615. Too late. The beetle nut's fiery buzz still tingles your lips as you're thrust into utter darkness, the infamous shadow shift where guards rotate posts without a single torch. Your sandals whisper against stone worn smooth by centuries of paranoid pacing. This is where Mughal security truly earned its stripes, navigating pitch-black corridors using nothing but toe callus and the memory of 1,000 stubbed ankles. Your instructor whispers final advice: left foot always finds the crack next to the third pillar. Right foot misses the loose tile that shrieks like a goat in death. And if you step on something warm and fuzzy, say sorry first, then shriek. Mainstream fact, with a side of existential horror, Mughal forts had Jaroka windows to direct moonlight, but clear skies were a luxury. Guards thus memorized floors with their feet, developing callus so thick, one chronicle claims they could walk across a bed of smoldering chestnuts and ask for a second helping. The strange twist. They greased their soles with ghee to get a grip, and the resulting footprints were mistaken by historians for ritual butter offerings. Your first test, the Hall of 1,000 Pillars, real number, 342, but hyperbole was the empire's second language. Toe by toe, you creep along, feet reading the stone like braille. There are stories these tiles could tell: a chip where a mace was dropped in 1589, a groove a guard wore in 20 years of walking circles. Your partner laughs. That's Feroz's groove. Man hated his wife. Volunteered for overtime shifts. The darkness amplifies every sound: your breath, the scritch-scritch of a rat dragging away a stolen beetle nut, and, is that snoring? Ah, the sandals on stone technique. Guards wrapped their footwear in rabbit fur to muffle footsteps, creating what scholars call the world's first silent sneakers. The result? Less slap-slap, more like a ghost trying to tiptoe through a library. You're mastering the glide when your toe stubs a hidden step. Pain rockets up your leg. That's the Akbar bump, your partner chuckles. He tripped here in 1567 and outlawed stairs for a week. The scholarly debate. Whether guards suffered from permanent toe deformities. Dr. Rao's analysis of skeletal remains found unusual phalangeal thickening, but Chef Gupta insists it's just the Mughal squat workout. You, meanwhile, are struggling with a new foe, vertigo. Without visual anchors, the darkness is swirling like ink in water. Guards would hum to orient themselves. You've read, low drones that bounced off walls to map space. You try it. Your echo comes back, indicating a low ceiling ahead. And a bat. It dive bombs your turban. The true horror of shadow shifts. The pranks. Older guards loved rearranging furniture. One memoir recounts a novice's 20-minute battle with a heap of cushions he'd thought was a murderer. Tonight's trap. A rope strung shin-high across the corridor. You trip, flail, and catch yourself on a tapestry depicting Baber's conquest of Panipat, now scrunched into a mustachioed ball. Art criticism. Your partner smirks. The curator will love that. By the third hallway, your feet have a sixth sense. The left callus quivers near the armory. The right seizes up at the harem's spice-scented drapery. You're patting yourself on the back when a thump freezes your blood. Something's in the dark. Something living. Your knife trembles while you crouch, sandals twirling silently, and touch warm fur. Two amber eyes glint. It's the Emperor's prized Persian cat, napping in a jade bowl that's been stolen. Move along, your partner groans. She outranks you. The debate continues within the halls of Academe, but here's what really happened. Guards hallucinated. Prolonged darkness and sensory deprivation made minds create specters. One log documents a guard who fought a shadow for an hour before realizing it was his own cape. Another swore he'd found a hidden room filled with singing rubies. It was the wine cellar. He was reduced in rank to spoon polisher. As the watch goes on, you discover the hallway's secret rhythm, the drip-drip of a leaky pipe cadences with your steps. Guards used to use these rhythms to count time, a method called monsoon math. 7 drips equal 1 gardi, 24 minutes. You reach 300 drips before your partner snaps, stop whispering numbers. You're scaring the mice. The final challenge comes at shift's end. The earliest dawn light creeps through a Jali screen, backlighting your location, 3 feet from a bottomless well. Congrats, your partner grins. You've been walking next to death for an hour. Typical Tuesday. You look into the abyss. A distant asterisk plink asterisk is heard, probably a coin dropped by a guard who wished to hear the splash into water. It never did. As the sunlight pours into the shadows, you notice that the fur lining of your sandals is gone, chewed off by the Persian cat. A true Mughal badge of honor. Dawn's first light glints off the gilded bars of the Parrot Aviary, where Shah Jahan's feathered informants preen and mutter state secrets like tipsy courtiers. You've been assigned Parrot Patrol, a shift guards dread more than latrine duty. The rules are simple: keep the birds quiet, prevent them from escaping, and absolutely do not teach them curse words. Too late. A green-winged heckler cries, "Silence, oaf," every time you sneeze. Your co-worker hands you a bag of safflower seeds. Bribe them. Beg them. Just don't let them recite the Emperor's tax reforms during nap time. Mainstream fact, served with a side of squawking irony. Mughal emperors kept parrots as status symbols, importing them from the Amazon through Portuguese traders. But here's the twist: these birds weren't just lovely mimics. They'd mimic everything from harem gossip to military strategy, forcing guards to treat them as high-risk blabbermouths. One 1647 incident had a parrot shouting, "The treasurer skims ruby profits," during a state banquet. The treasurer lost his head. The parrot got extra cashews. The quirky crisis. Guard naps. The only safe spot to doze undetected is inside the aviary's storage closet, which reeks of millet and parrot droppings. You're shown the nest, a hammock strung between sacks of birdseed, with a warning, check for stowaways. Last guy woke up with a macaw on his head. It knew his wife's nickname. Sure enough, a crimson bellicanier glares from the shadows, muttering what sounds like a Gujarati lullaby. Historians still fight over the parrot's role. Dr. Kapoor insists they were trained spies, citing a letter from a Dutch trader. The birds recite troop numbers like accountants. Dr. Fernando argues they only mimicked ordinary phrases, like toddlers with feathers. Imagine a parrot shrieking tax collection because Akbar said it 3 times a day. You test the theory by whispering, mangoes are overrated. 3 parrots are shrieking it within the hour. The head guard storms in. Congratulations! You've destabilized fruit diplomacy. The real challenge isn't silence, it's boredom. The birds nap in shifts, so you're left counting feathers. Primary, 1,876. Down, approximately infinity, and dodging airborne seeds. Guards created games to stay awake, like guess the poop culprit and teach the parrot to fetch. Spoiler, parrots fetch once. Then they fetch your keys into the Yamuna. Your friend shares the ultimate survival technique, whistle Raga Deepak in D minor. Puts them right to sleep. You try it. The parrots tilt their heads, then harmonize along. Now you have a feathery choir. The darkest hour. Midnight, when parrots dream. They speak in their sleep, replaying the day's chaos. More saffron. Siege the pantry. An older bird mutters, water the lotus, a phrase linked to a 1623 plot to poison Shah Jahan's garden. Guards decoded it for years. It turns out the parrot just liked the gardener's whistling. By 3 a.m., you're negotiating with a cockatoo for the safe return of your turban. Give it back, and I'll slip you a pistachio. The bird blinks. Pistachio, it replies, tossing the turban into a water trough. Mughal justice. The dispute takes on a surreal quality. Palace beams, when X-rayed, reveal hidden compartments in which guards stashed parrot complaints. Number 12 bites. Number 7 farts in imitation. Execute. But the parrots had their final word, in so many words. When the British breached Delhi in 1857, soldiers heard one parrot endlessly repeat, "The empire has fallen. Bring cashews." As dawn colors the aviary pink, you dash for the roof, a secret sleeping spot every guard knows. The view. Sparrows squabbling over a naan crumb. The breeze. Thick with parrot dander. But for a moment, silence. Then a beak pokes up through a gap below. Mangoes are overrated. Rain hammers Agra fort's domes like 1,000 impatient drummers, turning courtyards into lakes and corridors into leaky aqueducts. You've drawn monsoon watch, a shift guards describe as listening to the sky throw a tantrum. Your post, a sodden alcove beneath a cracked chat-try, where water sluices through the ceiling in a dozen arrhythmic drips. Your task. Count them. Not for structural upkeep or water control, but because Emperor Jahangir used to hear that repetitive tasks calm the humors in times of celestial disturbance. Here you are then, tallying drops on a wax tablet, while your turban slowly grows into a sponge. Mainstream fact steeped in irony, Mughal engineers constructed sophisticated drainage schemes, but annual monsoon rains overwhelmed them. Guards were employed as human rain gauges, checking leaks to order repairs. The quirky twist. They turned this tedium into a meditative art. Chronicles mention guards who could distinguish a Brahmin drip, steady, pious, from a merchant drip, erratic, bargaining. Your instructor demonstrates, that one's a teen mutto rhythm, drip pause drip. Common near the treasury. That gush. Adobe's lament, angry and unending. Avoid eye contact. The rebellion brewing in your corner. The Rain Hat Rebellion of 1632. It started innocently enough. A guard made a bamboo hat to keep rain off his neck. Others followed, creating more elaborate versions. One even had a spout that channeled runoff into one rose garden. But when a wet eunuch commander noticed these improper umbrellas, he declared them punishable by 3 days latrine duty. Guards fought back by wearing invisible hats, miming their use on patrol. The emperor, good-naturedly, acquiesced. Hats allowed, but duck-shaped only. The duck motif, historians suspect, was a joke at the guards' foul temper. Scholars still bicker over the rebellion's true cause. Dr. Joshi claims it was about practicality. Soggy guards can't grip swords. But Dr. Patel argues it symbolized resistance to meteorological micromanagement. You're too busy counting to care. Drip 472 hits your knee. Drip 473 lands in your left sandal. By drip 500, you've invented a drinking game. Sip kawa every time a drop splashes your nose. Spoiler, you're slurping by drip 512. The actual challenge. Monsoon arithmetic. Leaks were measured by guards on a base 8 system adapted from Vedic astronomy. 8 drips constitute a pal, 24 seconds. 8 pals constitute a gardi, 24 minutes. You try to do the conversion. Drip 1024 is equal to 16 gardis equals 6.4 hours. Hold on, that must be incorrect. Your partner bursts out laughing. Monsoon math is not math. It's lunacy. Just sing and act like you're unaware. By evening, your alcove is a cave of liquid echoes. Drips ping from shields, plink into copper pots, and splat onto mice dodging from the flood. Guards claimed to be able to predict storms by the metallic flavor of the drips. Sweet rain, clear skies, bitter hail. You taste a droplet. It tastes like pigeon. The legacy of the rebellion. Those duck hats. Archaeologists discovered a cache in 1996, their beaks still dribbling greenish tarnish. Conservationists had contended restoring them. Guards' diaries record they were 50% functional, 50% humiliation. You're sketching your own design, a peacock with a built downspout. When a crack echoes, another chunk of ceiling drops, missing your foot by a prayer's breadth. Ah, the Chatri's baptism, your friend stretches. Happens every year. The architects called it rain enlightenment. We call it death by drizzle. As the storm builds, you notice something. The leaks are synchronizing with the fort's Norbat drum rhythms. Drip, drip, boom. Drip, 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 boom. Guards would sing storm ragas like this in the old days, the lyrics all about soggy socks. A 1618 scroll memorializes Guard Amir's raga of the stubborn leak, earworm of the century. Also, a plea for assistance. The clincher. Monsoon gout. Prolonged wetness swelled guards' toes, treated with mustard poultices and incensed incantations. Your partner passes over a toasty barley-stuffed sock. Smack it on there. Stinks like a brewpub, but your toes'll be singing. They are, though not raga, more dirge. By morning, the rain withdraws, and the fort is steaming like a drunkard's breath. Your tablet reads 2,304 drips. The head guard inspects it. Good work. Now, do you want to count puddles? You reply no, rather to wring out your turban. Somewhere, a duck-hatted ghost nods in approval. The monsoon's last drips cling to the fort's eaves as the eunuch commanders begin their nightly rounds, their voices humming tunes softer than a silk loom's sigh. You've been assigned to the harem's outer corridor, where castrated officers glide through shadows like smoke, their lullabies threading coded messages through the dark. A low, wavering millimeter drifts down the hall, tonight's shift signal. Your boyfriend translates, that's Raga Bhairavi, which is rotate posts but don't go by the west balcony, princess's migraine. You glance at him. How do you hum migraine? He shrugs. The meaned glide. That's what a headache sounds like. Mainstream fact, served up with a whiplash of history. Mughal eunuchs didn't just protect harems, they were diplomats, spies, accountants. But their real power was in vocal control. Without testosterone, their voices flip-flopped between octaves, perfect for humming signals that wouldn't rouse sleepy royals. The offbeat twist. Each commander had an individual sleep note. One liked Raga Yaman's seventh note, declaring it vibrated the spleen into submission. Another hummed on a hollowed-out coconut for a warm sound and to cover up his missing teeth. The brilliance of the code? Melodic ambiguity. An ascending scale suggested intruder. A descending one, false alarm, maybe a bat. But in 1619, a head cold among the commander caused check the army to sound like release the peacocks, and it was a feathery debacle. The guards would later mock that the *achu, asterisk of the sneeze was part of the code. 1 *achu*, danger. 2, bring soup. Scholars still clash over the lullaby's origins. Dr. Sharma argues they borrowed from Bengali boatman songs, citing shared pentatonic scales. Dr. El Tahir insists they're modified Sufi chorus, stripped of lyrics to avoid distracting devotion. Meanwhile, you're struggling to mimic the Raga Bhupali hum that means fetch more lamp oil. Your partner grades you, sounds like a constipated banshee. But keep trying, it'll scare off actual banshees. The actual test isn't pitch, it's stamina. Commanders hummed for hours, their voices wearing down to whispers. Chroniclers reported a eunuch who hummed so long, spiders spun cocoons in his open mouth. He was promoted. The spiders were evicted. You attempt a marathon hum. At minute 10, your uvula mutinies. At minute 20, the parrot from section 6 copies you. At minute 30, the head eunuch arrives. Stop. You're bothering the pigeons. The blackest moment. Midnight, when simultaneous hums produce cacophonic drones. Guards called this the hour of entangled threads, when *Raga Hindal*'s exhilaration crashed against Raga Marwa's despair. Your friend assures you he once heard a harmony so heavenly, it cured his gout. Or maybe I just fainted from hypoxia. By 3 a.m., the melodies shift. A commander's hum millimeter now features a nasal cadence, the secret word for snack delivery. Eunuchs were not above bribing guards with jalebi to evade patrols. You take a gooey coil of fried dough, its sweetness softened by an argued point. Food historian Naidu claims these sweets were honey-soaked. Chef Reddy contends they used sugarcane syrup. You lick your fingers. Tastes like both, and remorse. The legacy of the lullabies dissolves with the empire. New officers in 1750 preferred whistling, then handbells, then, disastrously, an ill-fated bagpipe experiment. The last hum code? A Raga Malcorn's variation meaning abandon post, the British are here. Guards debated whether to obey or not. The parrots wept, abandon, abandon. They did. As dawn creeps through the corridor, a last mystery hums to life. A commander's melody plays in a loop forever. No familiar raga, no hidden message. The guards have christened it the orphan tune. Some say it's an abandoned lullaby from a commander's pre-castration boyhood. Others that it's the whine of a losing soul losing notes it never knew. You move closer, and the hum stops. The eunuch smiles, strokes his nose, and vanishes into the shadows. Some secrets, it seems, sleep forever. The eunuch's hums fade as you're dragged into the palace kitchens, a labyrinth of copper pots, cinnamon-dusted shadows, and the ever-present fear that your next laddu might be your last. Midnight snack duty, where guards nibble sweets like bomb diffusers and side-eye every crumb. A junior officer thrusts a silver platter at you. Check the barfi, he hisses. The head chef's been sighing all evening. Suspects cue sighs. You nibble off the edge of the milk fudge. It tastes delightful. It is also potentially fatal. So much for Mughal existence. Mainstream fact, served with a side of existential terror, The Mughalls pioneered food tasters decades prior to Bond films made it seem trendy. Every royal meal was first passed through a guard's stomach, a job posting that read, "Must have iron stomach, expendable status." The strange twist. Guards developed a poison palate, reporting that they could detect arsenic's almondy taste or hemlock's grassy aftertaste. Spoiler, they could not. But the placebo effect of self-assurance. Stellar. Your partner demonstrates the drill. Sniff, lick, wait for 3 breaths, nibble, and say the karma. If you survive, let the next guard know it's all right with a little dance. You try it with a gulab jamun. Syrup drips from chin. The dance. A stumble. Passable, says your partner. Now test the rice. Oh, the rice. 20 barrels down along the storeroom, each big enough to hide a horse. Or, as Guard Fazol found in 1621, a snoozing guard. You peer into the nearest barrel. Grains shift, indicating an indentation where Fazol's derriere once rested. His rationale. Assassins never checked carbs. It worked until a cook scooped rice over him, and Fazol was buried like a raisin in Kir. He got promoted for imaginative counterintelligence. The scholarly spat. Dr. Khan's 2021 study puts just 3% of Mughal poisonings through food. Most used perfumes or bookbinding glue. But Chef Deshpande retorts, why wouldn't you poison a samosa? It's the perfect crime, delicious, distracting, and you die mid-moan of pleasure. You're testing saffron rice when the paranoia blooms. That cumin scent, normal, or laced with aconite. The cardamom pods split, natural, or pried open to insert toxins. Guards documented 127 suspicious spice incidents in 1647 alone. One involved a halwa so glittery, the taster swore it contained ground stars. It was just mica. He was demoted to spoon liquor. The true horror. Midnight pangs. At 2 a.m., your stomach howls like the desert jackal. You look at a platter of cooling naan, basil seasoning the bread, or wolfsbane. The danger calculus begins, poisoning death or hypoglycemia death. Your partner makes it go away by tossing a naan to a stray dog. The dog devours it, wags, and begs for another. Alhamdulillah, says your partner. Now we eat. The Fazol method survives. You volunteer for barrel service, burrowing into rice like a mad prawn. The kernels graze your neck. The air is musty. But the terror expires quicker than you imagine. Guards once swore that rice's white sound, SHJ trick, detoxified. Scientists lay that to rest. You call it cheaper than therapy. The case is now gastronomic. X-rays of Fazol's barrel revealed not only his imprint, but 14 almond shells and a love poem to a kitchen maid. Your eyes are kajal, your wrath is garam masala. Foodies call it the first recorded meal prep. Romantics call it sad. By 4 a.m., you've graduated to testing the emperor's faluda. Rose syrup swirls with vermicelli, a dish so delicate, your spoon quivers. The first sip, floral, icy, laced with panic, your tongue tingles. Is that saffron's warmth or death's kiss? Your partner times you. 5 minutes alive. Congrats. The tingle. Turns out you're allergic to rosewater. The cure. A fistful of turmeric. Now you're golden inside and out. The snack responsibility tradition. A 1680 handbook entitled How Not to Die Before Dessert, including such tips as avoid unusually cheerful cooks and if the dog is reluctant, you hesitate. The final lesson. In Fazol's memoir, rice is a bad bed but a great coffin. Make your choice. As dawn colors the kitchen, you pocket a laddu as a memento. Or last meal. The head chef glares at you. Poisons in the next batch, he smiles. You eat it anyway. The laddu's sweetness still lingers on your tongue as you're ushered into a dim vault lined with scrolls that smell of dust and desperation. Welcome to the Forbidden Yawn Registry, where Emperor Jahangir's obsession with guard drowsiness has been immortalized in ink that reeks of cloves and paranoia. A quill is thrust into the palm of your hand by a scribe and points to an open ledger on a page titled Yawns of the Third Watch, 1624. May Allah have mercy. Your assignment: record every jaw crack, every lip stretch, every involuntary tear, because nothing protects an empire like micromanaging biological reflex. Mainstream fact, marinated in absurdity. Jahangir kept meticulous records of everything, from tiger hunts to courtiers' eyelash weights. But his yawn logs were next-level neurotic. Guards were required to self-report each yawn using coded symbols: a crescent for boredom, a squiggle for sleep deprivation, a tiny camel for regretted second helping of biryani. Fail to document, and you'd be fined a month's pay in sesame seeds. The royal elephants loved this policy. The offbeat horror. The yawn gauge, a brass affair strapped to your jaw that ticked like a cricket on amphetamines. Every yawn, a silk string drew a needle across a dial marked with alert to snoring mid-yawn, damned soul. Your instructor puts on a theatrical yawn. The gauge click creaks. The scribe writes a frowning sun. 3 yawns equals extra patrol. 6 equals latrine duty. 10. We bury you in the lazy garden. Scholars continue to shriek at the symbols. Dr. Rao assures their proto-emoji language, citing a scroll where reeds yawned twice, then lusted after lentils. Dr. Wagner argues they're random doodles from inattentive scribes. Meanwhile, you're battling a yawn so intense, your gauge groans at the joints. The scribe pounces on it, scribbling a symbol like a deflating mango. What is it, you ask? It says yawned with existential despair. Normal post-midnight. The crowning glory of the registry? Jahangir's own private comments. Beside a 1619 entry, Guard Murad, 11 yawns, crescent moon symbol, he wrote, "This one dreams of mediocrity." Murad became chief pillow fluffer, so either the emperor was funny or bitter. At 2 a.m., the clicks are a lullaby. Your jaw aches. Your gauge silk thread has frayed into a beard. You attempt to cheat the system by yawning with your mouth closed, a trick guards called the Mughal mumble. The scribe glares at you. Your nostrils flared. That's a half yawn. Punishment: recite a Persian couplet. You sigh. The night is long, the yawn strong, let me sleep, oh please, begone. The scribe chuckles. Rhyme scheme, shameful. Punishment, double patrols. The darkest hour. The great yawn scandal of 1630. A guard's silent scream, misheard as a yawn, raised an alarm citywide. Detectives found the ledger entry, symbol, exploding lotus. Cause, existential wind. The guard was exonerated. The lotus became a popular slang term for indigestion. As dawn nears, you notice an entry with your name. The scribe has drawn a goat looking at a cloud. What does it symbolize? He shrugs. You work it out. Scholarship awaits. You examine it more closely. Is the goat bored? Thinking. Judging you. Jahangir's spectre is not talking. The legacy. Modern sleep science cites the registry as the first attempt at measuring fatigue, and fail hilariously. As you stagger to bed, your dial still clicking away, you get the reality. All yawns that are logged here are a sigh against time itself. And, 2, you desperately need a nap. The yawn registry's ink stains still cling to your fingers as you're thrust into the armorer's disguise vault, a closet reeking of mothballs, mutton fat, and the existential despair of facial hair that isn't yours. Tonight's mission: master the art of vanishing via fake beards and decoy turbans, because nothing says covert ops like smelling like a kebab stall. Your teacher applies a horsehair beard to your face. It's scratchy. It's saggy. It's likely alive. Congratulations, he says. You are now Uncle Mahmood, the Sultan's least believable spice merchant. Mainstream fact, waiting to be scratched. Mughal spies were the first with disguised tricks later popularized by Hollywood. Mission: impossible with more dysentery. Guards used fake beards to go undercover to shop in markets, changed turbans to tail suspects, and occasionally impersonated holy men to avoid paperwork. The quirky catch: their adhesive of choice, mutton fat beard glue. Yes, sheep fat smelted down. Yes, it drew vultures. No, historians aren't sure why they believed this was such a great plan. Your first test: the turban tango. A decoy turban is tied around your head, its folds hiding a second, inner turban for quick swaps. The trick: dazzle with the outer turban sparkle, false emeralds, very convincing, then yoink, grab the simple inner one to blend into throngs. You practice, snagging the outer turban on a chandelier. It drops. The instructor sighs. That's why we banned chandeliers in 1612. The mutton fat furore bubbles more hotly than a biryani vessel. Purists maintain it's the only sticking plaster that traps monsoon moisture. Reformists mention the Great Beard Slide of 1598, when a spy's beard dropped off during mid-conversation, revealing a birthmark in the form of Gujarat. The treaty fell apart. The birthmark was a tourist attraction. You can smell the pot of glue. It's scented with regret and rosemary. Apply thinly, your partner says. Use too much and you'll gum your teeth shut. Spoiler: you use too much. The academic spat. Dr. Ahmed. His 2020 paper states mutton glue was scented with sandalwood to cover over its ovine funk. But Chef Kapoor found recipes that paired it with mint chutney, so guards simply ate leftovers. You retch, then find a scroll titled *Beard Maintenance and Snack Ideas star. Mughal multitasking at its finest. Midnight, and you're sneaking up to the rear gate of the harem, beard drooping like a disappointed caterpillar. Crooked decoy turban. Mission: recognize the intruder, a nephew of a cook, hired in to juggle onions. But the glue melting with the heat, running down your collar. Passing maid gasps. Allah have mercy. That man's face is glistening hair. You sweat, tug at the beard, and carry eyebrows along. Instructor marks you, subtlety, 0. Comedy, legendary. The darkest moment. The beard betrayals. Guards were betrayed by one another as they sabotaged glue, spiking it with honey to lure ants or chili oil in hopes of spontaneous combustion. One memoir recounts a spy sneezing into his beard, launching it onto a nobleman's hookah. The negotiations, he wrote, were briefly flammable. As you attempt a turban switch in the mirror of a completed shield, you catch the real sparkle of Mughal disguises. They were so awful, they boomeranged into brilliance. Who'd suspect the crooked bearded guy with the parrot riding on his shoulder? Answer: everybody. But the parrot offered a way out. The heritage. Modern forensic scientists x-rayed ancient beards in storage, finding hidden containers for bottles of poison and love letters. There was one that contained a recipe for goat glue halwa. Historians are still revealing. As dawn approaches, you comply. The beard clings to your chin by sheer willpower. The decoy turban doubles as a napkin. But at this point, you are Uncle Mahmood, spice merchant par excellence, until a gust of wind gives you a turban in the face. The final lesson. Mughal disguises worked best at night. And without witnesses. Moonlight filters through the jali screens as you're handed a mango, the Mughal Empire's answer to noise-cancelling headphones. Your new post, Elephant Patrol, where stealth hinges on tropical fruit and the dubious myth that pachyderms tiptoe. Stuff this in their ears, instructs the mahout, pointing to the mango pulp. Makes them deaf to their own footsteps. And anyway, they'll love you forever. You glance over at the elephant, which is looking at the pulp with a mixture of curiosity and contempt. What if they eat it, you ask? The mahout shrugs. Then we ride a very happy elephant. Mainstream reality, with a trunkload of irony. Mughal war elephants were notorious for their strength and size, but palace patrols required silence. Guards insisted elephants could move as quietly as cats if you filled their ears with mango pulp. The strange twist. The pulp wasn't just a silencer. Its sticky sweetness was said to quiet the beast's fiery humors, a theory espoused by poets and refuted by anyone who'd shoveled elephant dung. You squat to scoop out pulp, the mango flesh cold and smooth. The elephant, a rumpled beast named Bola, tusks at your hand, sneezing later to anoint your turban in fruity mucus. Good sign, says the mahout. His approved. Now, the ears. You fill Bola's Hulk-like earholes with tentative doses of pulp, half expecting a swish-away motion like one disobedient insect. He grumbles deep instead, a monsoon purr, guardsman jargon. The scholarly scandal. Historians still argue over whether elephants actually walked more quietly with plugged ears or if the Mughals just loved metaphors. Dr. Mehta's 2018 essay claims the pulp muffled low-frequency vibrations, making footfalls silent. Dr. Fisher replies, elephants weigh 6 tons. You could plug their ears with cannonballs and hear them hiccup anyway. Either way, Bola stumbles along, his steps as quiet as a landslide wearing socks. The patrol route edges the harem gardens, where the silent feet myth runs headlong into its nemesis, pebbles. Each crunch is like a walnut in a mortar. Bola pauses, trunk curled in what you're certain is shame. Distract him, the mahout whispers. You grab for a sugar cube. Bola swishes it away, rather than dig up a bush. Ah, the old digestion diversion, the mahout smiles. Classic. Halfway through the shift, the mango pulp's true purpose reveals itself. Bola, now blissed out on fructose, sways as he walks, his gait smoother than a court dancer's. Guards called this the mango waltz, a serendipitous side effect that did reduce noise, or at least made the noise jauntier. You're lulled into calm when a thud shakes the ground. Bola freezes. Ahead, a shadow moves, another elephant. A rogue peacock. Nope. Just your partner, snoring against a tree. The darkest hour. Midnight, when elephants ponder. Bola freezes, looking at the moon. He's contemplating the universe, the mahout whispers. Or plotting to mutiny. You offer another sugar cube. Bolo snatches it, then pilfers the mahout's turban and puts it on your head. Promotion, the mahout laughs. Now you report missing headgear to the captain. The silence of the feet legend. Modern zookeepers co-opted the mango trick, only to find elephants adore ear snacks. In 2019, Jaipur Zoo was the site of a hijacked fruit cart and 3 hours of xylophone-like ear flicking. Guards, however, embraced the chaos. One journal entry reads, "If the elephants want to sing, let them. It drowns out the parrots." As dawn approaches, Bola's ears itch. He shakes his head, showering dried pulp on your face. The mahout plucks it off, forms it into a ball, and offers it to you. For your next patrol. You decline. He shrugs. Your loss. But keep in mind, mango pulp beats mutton glue any day. The final surprise. Those silent feet weren't to sneak up on anyone. Scrolls reveal the ritual began after Emperor Jahangir misread a bard's tale of elephants with velvet soles. The guards simply never brought him up to speed. Some secrets are as juicy as mango pulp. Dawn's first light bleeds across the horizon as you're handed a copper flask of rose attar, a perfume so potent it could knock out a camel. Your final duty, the deadly perfume shift, where guards douse the palace in floral fumes to mask odors less poetic than roses. The head guard grins, his teeth pink from betel nut. Spray like your dignity depends on it. Because it does. You uncork the flask. The scent hits like a lovesick garden. A parrot vomits somewhere. Mainstream fact, dipped in rose petals, Mughals adored rose attar, pulling over 10,000 roses for an ounce of oil. Dawn spraying rituals were more practical than romantic. Palaces reeked of sweat, beasts, and the residue of poor life choices. The strange twist. Guards believed thick perfume clouds confused evil spirits. Jinns hate florals, your partner maintains. Also, it hides the odor of their sulfur farts. You make your way to the Dewanikos, where last evening's parrot patrol left gifts of half-eaten fruit and bird disdain. The first spray bursts into the air, droplets glinting like liquid rubies. The sweetness of the attar battles the reek of wet parrot feathers, a smell historians discreetly call empire bouquet. A passing nobleman sniffs, swoons, and attributes it to the roses. You don't correct him. The scholarly debate. Dr. Verma maintains attar was blended with sandalwood to ground the perfume. Dr. Hassan noticed a hint of fermented barley in the dregs of flasks, suggesting that guards dosed their perfume. A drunken jinn is a scattered jinn. You take a test sniff. Your sinuses come up in arms. By the third courtyard, the roses triumph. Marble floors glow with attar, turning into fatal slip-end slides. A eunuch commander drifts by, whistling a warning tune, and faceplants with panache. Note to scholars, your friend complains. Perfume-induced concussions reached an all-time high at dawn. The real horror. Oversprayers. Beginners who drenched areas where the emperor's felines slept, reducing floral-obsessed cats that shredded silk drapes. One memoir describes a tabby rolling in attar, subsequently dazzling the entire harem's cat population. Chaos. Meow hem. You carefully aim, until a sudden wind knocks your spray onto the head guard's turban. He glares at you, now smelling like a brothel doorknob. The worst part. Allergies. Guards sneezed en masse, a broken musket symphony. The remedy. Inhaling ground mint, or, according to your lover's suggestion, marrying a beekeeper. You refuse, instead sneezing on your sleeve. The attar adheres to the fabric. You'll stink of funeral bouquet for weeks. With the dawn sun rising, the hidden power of perfume is unleashed. Wasps. Clouds drop, drawn to the floral deluge. Guards christened them Jahangir's winged inspectors, though their only job was to strafe turban tassels. You swat at one, spraying attar around. A eunuch slips on his feet. A parrot shrieks. The head guard breathes out. Just spray on. The debate flourishes once more. Rose varieties in attar did not exist anywhere since the 1700s, botanists found out. Perfumers lament the loss of recipes. You cry because your nose has gone out of work. The final spray. A renegade mist above the reflection pool of the Taj Mahal. Water shimmers pink. A fish floats belly up. The legacy. Today's air at Agra still smells of roses every morning, or so the guides claim. Actually, it's the sewage treatment plant's spring breeze deodorizer. A sip of attar seeps into your boot as you hand over your flask. You'll trail roses wherever you go, a scented ghost of Mughal overindulgence. The sickly sweetness of the rose attar still clings to your robes as you are taken into a vault choking with dust and forgotten terrors. Shelves that stretch like giants sag under scrolls bound in fraying silk, the dream journals of the retired guards where decades of night terror solidify into ink. A librarian thrusts a decaying book into your hands. Page 42. The floating windows. Try not to scream. You open it. The parchment whispers tales of Jirokas torn from walls, drifting through dreams like spectral boats. One page describes a window frame hovering over a bed, curtains blowing in a wind no one else can feel. In the margin, a shaky notation, third nightmare this week. Send more saffron. Mainstream fact, covered in cobwebs, Mughal retirees often wrote down their dreams, believing them to be omens or messages from God. Yet midnight prowlings over the decades filled minds with the architecture of the empire. And there is this bizarre fact. There were guards who were so possessed by floating Jiroka windows that this persistent nightmare became so prevalent that doctors prescribed opium-laced sherbet to anchor the soul. You draw a sketch of a window consuming a crescent moon. The librarian nods. That's Abdul's diary. He later became a carpenter. Built only round doors. The academic vendetta. Dr. Iqbal argues for lost power, that windows embody it all, a crumbling empire's subconscious. Dr. Lee insists they're sleep paralysis hallucinations, brought on by the withdrawal of the betel nut. And you're left with Guard Faroz's diary, in which he writes about a Jaroka that gives him tax advice. The lintel whispered, "Raise the salt tax, you coward." I woke up sweating. The emperor raised the salt tax. But what the horror is not is the spectral architecture, it is the boredom that spawned it. Guards who for years had assigned names to bricks, Section 1's Baber the drowsy camel, now dreamt them up in their heads. One diary includes 500 bricks, each marked with a little insult. Number 237, lazy loaf, shaped like my ex-wife's naan. Another dreams of bricks chanting Persian poetry backward. The prescription. Whisper the Quranic verses to the wall. The after effect. Bricks whispering back. You flip to a page water damaged. A guard recounts a dream of monsoon drip duty, Section 7. Only instead of rain, blood falls, every drop a miniature shriek. He woke to his hut being flooded, his cat paddling through a broth of scrolls and terror. The cat was fine, he adds. The scrolls weren't. The darkest entries. Those of guards who served at Akbar's cursed pillar, Section 3. Their dreams simmer with the pillar's stone breath, a cold draft that follows them into sleep, icing their bedclothes and weighing the air with marble dust. One retiree wrote, "I hear the pillar's heartbeat in my soup." He turned farmer. The pumpkins, he reported, sang lullabies. As you read on, there are some patterns. Guards who'd endured the elephant patrols at night, Section 12, now dreamt of mango-pulped tsunamis. Those burned by the perfume shift, Section 13, scented roses in every nightmare. And unfortunate Fazol, who napped in the rice barrel, Section 9, dreamt of being drowned in biryani. The raisins mocked me, he wrote. The almonds plotted. The pièce de résistance of the diaries, a Guard Murad entry, dated 1673, describing his recurring dream. The Taj Mahal minarets had become serpents, marble scales clinking as if with chainmail. They hissed in Portuguese, he adds. I do not speak Portuguese. Scholars are absolutely besotted over it. Linguists attempt to decipher meaning to it. Poets stake claim to genius for it. You say betel nut overdose. By midnight, the vault's shadows deepen. A draft creeps by, real or imagined, and the diaries seem to pulse. You find a scroll sealed with mutton fat glue, Section 11's dubious adhesive. Inside, a retired guard relates instructing his dreams to replay the parrot gossip fiasco, Section 6. Now, when the green devil shouts mangoes are overrated, in my dreams, I respond with silence, oaf. It's therapeutic. The legacy. Sleep clinics today utilize these diaries to research occupational PTSD. One therapist penned, the mugholes created nightmare fuel. Also, the earliest recorded utilization of dream journaling as revenge. You close the tome, but the windows remain in the eye of your mind, floating, ever floating. As morning creeps in, the librarian brings a going-away gift, a brick from the eastern wall. Number 896, he says. Baber the camel. You place your hand on its sun-warmed face. Somewhere, a retired guard smiles in his sleep. The rumors of dream diaries fade away as you enter the innermost vault of the army, where shadows adhere like courtiers to a dying king. A ledger lies open before you to the year 1739, the year the music died and the Mughal guardsmen were afterthoughts in someone else's triumph. The final logbook entry is a splash of ink and desperation, its words slanted like inebriates. The keys are liquid. The parrot's chatter is Persian. Allah have mercy. Asterisk, you trace your fingers over the page. It crumbles because empires, like changes in the guard, always get stained. Mainstream fact, presented with the solemnity of a eulogy. By the 18th century, the Mughal Empire was a jeweled skeleton, its treasury plundered by invaders and its power dissolving like sugar in monsoon rain. Guards that used to send away assassins now sent away creditors. The quirky twist. The empire's literal keys, the iron monstrosities that locked everything from spice vaults to the emperor's diary, were melted down during Nader Shah's invasion to craft trinkets. Because nothing says "I sacked Delhi" like a key-shaped paperweight. The logbook's last guardian, rheumy-eyed Sergeant Taufik, recorded the folly. His last entry, smudged with what scholars hope is tea, reads /Tuesday, chased off 3 pickpockets, 1 goat. Wednesday, sold Pan hoard to purchase lentils. Thursday, keys melted. Instructed to guard puddle. Resigned. /scholars weep over his margins, where Taufik drew a parrot in a Persian crown, most likely Shah's chatty feathered diplomat who'd taken over the harem's remaining cashews. The great key melting debacle encapsulated the farce. Persian invaders requested palace keys as spoils. The surprise. The Mughals, in a gesture of thrift, had replaced lost keys with painted wood copies. When the invaders tossed them into a brazier, they created a key soup that caused a diplomatic crisis. Taufik wrote, "They shouted. We shrugged. The parrots laughed. I miss the elephants." Scholars persist in bickering over the collapse. Dr. Kapoor lays the blame for economic decline. Guards hadn't been paid in saffron in years, just IOUs and stale jalabis. Dr. Ahmed cites the parrot desertion, Section 6, arguing, security failed when the birds defected to the Marathas. You roll your eyes over Taufik's remark on guarding a puddle. Whether he was alluding to a monsoon leak, Section 7, or an allegory of the empire's depth, time will tell. As you move further inside, the logbook reveals a guard corps without purpose. Eunuchs crooned lullabies to bored intruders, Section 8. Pensioners sold mutton fat adhesive, Section 11, as hair treatment. A guard opened a mango pulp earplug spa, Section 12, offering eternal silence for 2 rupees. Taufik's replacement noted, Day 1, guarded a mousel. Promoted to mouse. The grimmest entry. 1 sentence. The attar's gone. Now we smell the rot. Without Dawn's rose spray, Section 13, the palace reeked of rot and poor decisions. Guards began spraying themselves with lime, not in order to sneak about, but in order to numb their noses. A visiting Frenchman wrote, they resemble ghostly bakers, doomed to need regret. But the actual gut blow is Taufik's final action. On his final page, he shoved a tattered peacock feather, bad luck be damned, along with a sketch of the Taj Mahal. Its minarets twisted, its dome flattened. Caption, our dreams grew too heavy. Scholars weep into chai. You weep because you've been walking these halls, polished ghost armor, and now must let go. The legacy. In contemporary Delhi, street vendors sell genuine Mughal keys made from recycled spoons. Historians groan. Tourists buy them. And at Agra Fort, Shah's parrot's descendants still scream, mangoes are overrated. A eulogy Taufik would have appreciated. When moonlight silveries the ledger, you see a dried-out mango seed squished in the spine. Taufik's cracker. Bowler elephants goodbye ablation. Never know. For an instant, the vault thrums with chainmail lullabies, Section 2, monsoon drips, Section 7, and the shoe of shadow shift sandals, Section 5. Then the fan hums, the ink blurs, and history tucks you in. Wind down. The echoes of the fort soften now, their jagged edges smoothed by years of retelling. Breathe, rose attar and monsoon humidity, mango flesh and aged ink. Let the spectres of the guards disperse into jolly shadows, their work done, their secrets kept. The parrots slumber, elephants dream, and the Taj's photograph still ripples pink in a lost pool. You've walked the night, but morning is gentle here, in the land where history croons lullabies. Close your eyes. Allow the last key to turn. Allow the empire to breathe into legend. Sleep, traveler. The walls remember so you don't have to. End of script. Sweet dreams.